Hiya folks, welcome back. It's Will here back for another fight card prediction. We're going to be breaking down UFC Fight Night 72, which is going to be from the SSE Hydro in Glasgow, Scotland. Now, this event for me is huge. I've been following the UFC all over the world for many years. I've literally just packed my bag. I'm going off to Las Vegas in the morning. But as soon as I come back, it's going to be fight week here in Scotland, and this is huge for my country of Scotland. And I'm thoroughly looking forward to this. I think the card's actually pretty decent. A lot of people are going to shit on the card. I like a lot of the fighters who are on the card. Get to see our Scottish hopefuls. We get to see some of the Irish, your Joseph Duffys and your Patrick Holahans as well. I think this is a really good fight card. I'm really looking forward to it. I'll be front row, more or less, in Glasgow. My other videos are out for UFC 189. I have the original one with Aldo, so if you don't have to watch that, up to Aldo. I have a Mendes-McGregor breakdown. I have UFC Tough Finale. I also have the UFC San Diego card. And this is going to be my last one for a few weeks, and then I'll be back for UFC on Fox. So we're going to get started in this card. We're going to be starting off in the heavyweight division. We have Daniel Omielanzcuk against Chris De La Rocha. Omielanzcuk coming off 2 losses in the UFC, beat Nandor Guillermino, lost to Jared Rosholt, and lost to Anthony Hamilton in a pretty sloppy fight back in Poland in April. A guy who really gasses quickly, doesn't offer too much in his feet, throws a half decent jab, very bad footwork, just kind of stays there and gets hit, uses no angles whatsoever. And in that fight, both of them gassed, but Hamilton, fighting out of Jackson's MMA up there in Albuquerque, he kind of had enough to hold on and get the decision via decision. De La Rocha here, not know too much about him. He's 3-0 as professional. I watched his 3 fights today. A couple of half decent wins. He beat DJ Linderman, who's been around for a long time, and knocked him out with a beautiful big looping right hand that hit him right in the chin, and that was it from there. Before that, he beat Matt Kovacs. Hit a beautiful single leg. Took him down, blanketed him a little bit, hit him with some shots, and then Kovacs, not a great fighter in all honesty, gave up his back far too easy, and he choked a rear naked choke. And I'm actually going to go with the guy who's coming in short notice here. I was a little bit disappointed in this because I was looking forward to seeing Konstantin Arokin after his debacle, which was his UFC debut. That just wasn't him at all. He pulled out. De La Rocha comes in here. I'm actually going to go with Chris De La Rocha via TKO. I think he can knock out Omielanzcuk here. I know he's got a decent chin as Omielanzcuk, but I like De La Rocha here, and I'm going to go with him. Next up, we've got Marcus Brimage against Jimmie Rivera. Marcus Brimage, he's had some tough outs in the UFC. Let's not get it twisted. He was on the Tough Show. He's fought some decent fighters. He's got some nice wins. I think he's got wins over Jimmy Hayes and Maximo Blanco as well. So there's some decent wins. But he's faced some really tough fighters. I mean, Conor McGregor and McGregor's UFC debut back in Sweden. Last time out, he had Cody Nolov Garbrandt, which I'm a huge fan of Garbrandt, and I think he'll go a long way in the sport. And he pretty much got tooled up in that fight. He did hit Nolov with some decent shots, but he got knocked out in the 3rd round, getting too aggressive, and he got picked off and knocked out in the last minute of that fight. Lost to Russell Doan as well. Doan's a tough fighter, a fight I really like watching as well. Tushon, he had a beautiful spinning head kick KO down in Australia. If this guy can just kind of use a bit of his wrestling and if he can vary up a little bit, I think he's got a really good chance of winning this fight. I do think this fight is going to be very close, but I think that Brimage he stands on his feet, doesn't use his wrestling too much, and I think he's got that wrestling background. As he coming in here against Jimmie Rivera, who's another late replacement after Ian Entwistle pulled out from an injury. He's a guy who I think we've seen in Ultimate Fighter back in the day. I've watched him in Cage Fury Fighting Championships. Seen last time out he beat Carson Beebe. A guy who hasn't really got any big names on his resume. He beat Jesse Brock, who fought at RFA last week. A guy who's pretty well rounded. He's got that wrestling skill. He's got some decent striking as well, but he's a grappler by trade. I can see this being a very close fight, and I think Marcus Brimage is going to have enough to do it, but wouldn't count out Jimmie Rivera and anything here. It's going to be close. I think I'm going to go split decision for Marcus Brimage. Next up in the flyweight division, we have Paddy the Hooligan Holohan against Vaughn Lee. A decent fight this. Paddy's just the man. Paddy's one of the coolest guys you'll ever meet. In Dublin last year, nothing was phasing this guy. He was so happy to be there fighting in the UFC, and I've never heard a noise like it. Very first fight of the night against Josh Sampo. Hit Sampo with a big right hand, took him down, got his back like a ninja, took him out, and was fantastic. Came back in again in January against, in October against Chris Leites. Had a great first round, took him down, had a great opportunity to finish the fight down there. And then Leites fighting in his home state, or where it was in Canada, came back in his crowd. It was like Dublin, but on Leites' side, and they got behind him, and he got a very, very impressive victory over Paddy Holohan. Took him down, and surprisingly, I thought Holohan would be able to get back on his feet, but couldn't do so. And then at UFC Boston, back in January this year, really had a decent chance to take out Shane Howell in that first round. Had a couple of really close chokes, but he just dominated Shane Howell on the ground, and it was a very, very, very dominant performance from Paddy Holohan down there out in Boston. And he's against Vaughn Lee here, who's dropping down to the flyweight division, a guy with a 14-10 record. He's a guy who's been around a long time. He's fought some decent fighters. I think he got knocked out by Yuri Alcantara last year in Berlin. So that's why he's making the drop down here in the first round. A decision victory over Nam Phan, where he's striking, I thought, looked absolutely fantastic. He popped the jab out there. His footwork and his angles were very good. Landed some nice leg kicks on Nam Phan. He fought Rafael Sunsao, who's been on a really good run. He lost via Kimura there. Beat Tezuka, lost to Dillashaw, beat Kid Yamamoto. I think this is a really good fight for Paddy Holohan to move himself in the forward in the UFC. I think Vaughn Lee's going back a little bit here, but he is a very dangerous fighter. Don't rule this guy out in this fight here. But I'm going to go with the Hooligan in this one, and I'll be repping his shirt all week. I'm a big Paddy Holohan fan. As a man, you will not meet a nicer guy than Patrick Holohan, so I will be going with him. Moving on, we have Jake Matthews against Mickael Lebout. Lebout out the CrossFit team in Paris. A decent fight. I think he's one win via TKO, 6 by submission, 6 by decision. A guy who's predominantly a jiu-jitsu guy. Once you get down there, he's very, very dangerous. But he faced Sergio Moraes last time, who is just elite down in that when it goes to ground and positioning and moving to different positions within the mount and stuff like that. And just he never really offered much to Moraes. A couple of a nice looping left hands in that one, but that's really all I could pick out. Jake Matthews, great addition to the card. I was really looking forward to this. Actually stayed to him on Twitter. I'd love to see you over here in Glasgow fighting in July. 2 days later, boom boom, there it is there. So he's coming off his first career loss against James Vick, where he got caught in a submission and got put to sleep very handily. Now the guillotine that he got caught in was it was a very high angle guillotine, and because of James Vick's length, came out, he was just a bit too aggressive. I think he tried to push things a little bit too quick down in Australia and paid the price for it here. So I'm expecting him to come out here and show some of the performance that he did beforehand when he submitted Wagner Rocha as well. So I like Jake Matthews in this fight. I think he can finish his fight. Lebout is a tough guy to finish right enough, but I'm going to go Jake Matthews via TKO in the second. Next up we have Iler Latifi against Hans Stringer. Hans Stringer, who did he face last time out? I know he won. Let me see if I can remember. I'll go and have a look. In fact, he lost. I'm thinking of the Barroso fight that he won. He lost via TKO last time out to Fabio Maldonado, who's a tough out in that division. If you know what Maldonado's like, he's like a zombie. He comes forward, he uses his boxing skills, and he'll put the pressure on like he did with Stringer and took him out there. Before that, Francois Barroso, he put Barroso against the cage quite a lot, took him down, hit him with some shots down there, and got the decision victory. I think it was a split, if I remember right. But I like Iler Latifi here. He's coming back after that loss against Jan Blachowicz, where he get hit with a fucking humongous body kick, and Blachowicz followed up with punches. But before that, he was decent. I seen him in Dublin against Chris Dempsey, knocked him out with a nice shot down there. and I think I maybe seen him in Manchester as well. I can't remember his opponent, but I know he won that one. And then of course he lost to Masasi, coming in very short notice to replace Alexander Gustafsson there. I like Iler Latifi here, and I like him by knockout. I like him very early as well, so I'm going to go first round TKO for Iler Latifi. Next up in the welterweight division, we've got Leon Rocky Edwards against Pawel Pawlak. Pawlak's coming off a win over Sheldon Westcott, and he's back in Poland in April. Both guys fought in that card. Pawlak took out the very tired Sheldon Westcott in that fight. Took him down, had some nice slams, hit him with some decent ground and pound, but couldn't really. He should have probably finished the fight because Westcott was just a mess cardio wise. And on the other hand, we have Leon Edwards here, who he just put the beat down on Seth Brzezinski in Poland. 8-second knockout, come out. Brzezinski was a little bit too aggressive, threw a couple of jabs, threw a leg kick, and then there was a huge left hand, came and hit Brzezinski, and he went down. 2 shots later, the fight was over. The guy's a very decent, slick striker, very slick, very quick, and he's got really good angles as well. And he's 23, I think, so I expect a lot of this guy in the future. Leon Edwards for me via TKO in the first round. Onto the main card, we have Joseph Duffy against Ivan George. Ivan George is 3-0 in the UFC. I think all of his wins are via decision. I know Keith Wisanowski was one of them. Who else was there? 2-1 in the UFC, I should say. I keep thinking he beat Rodrigo Dam in that fight. It was pretty sloppy, I remember. And he beat Josh Shockley, not really saying anything. And then we've got Joseph Duffy, who's a guy I've been watching for a long time. And he's the guy that beat Conor McGregor. And he's the guy that, for his UFC debut against Jake Lindsay, came out and showed some of his repertoire. And he's got an impressive repertoire, has Joseph Duffy. And we haven't even seen everything yet because he's got submission skills, and he will put a lot of people away on the ground as well. He's got that boxing background. He left the sport to go to boxing. But this guy's just quick. He's like an absolute sniper. He will hit you from distance. He went low on Lindsay, hit him with a beautiful body shot, and then came back, reset himself and hit him with a very quick head kick that took him out. I'm really excited to see this guy fight. He came back in his debut against Damian Lapalus, got the submission in the third round. Julian Boussiage hit him with a flying knee, which was one of my favourite knockouts, possibly ever. It was just a beautiful knockout. Really looking forward to seeing this guy here. I think he's going to wipe the floor with Ivan George. It's not going to get out the first round. I like Joseph Duffy here via another highlight reel knockout. Staying in the lightweight division, we have Scotland's own Stevie Ray. Now, this is the first of the 3 Scottish fighters that are on this card, and I'm an extremely patriotic guy, and I'm really hoping that all 3 fighters from the Scottish Isles here win the fight. He's got himself a pretty decent matchup here in Leonardo Mafra. I don't think Mafra, he's going to be aggressive on the feet, but I think Stevie Ray's got enough on the feet to hurt Mafra, and if this goes to ground, I can see him really hurting Leonardo Mafra down there. He got the call up pretty short notice against Marcin Bandel, and I thought he looked phenomenal for that. I think he cut 33 pounds in maybe 13 days, I believe it was. And I was actually at his last fight before he went to the UFC down in Newcastle at Cage Warriors, where he beat Kurt Warburton, and that was just an epic night down there with the Scottish and English fans. I like this matchup for Stevie Ray. I think he's going to get the Scottish crowd absolutely pumped up here. I like him via submission, and I like him in the second round as well. So a win for Stevie fucking Ray. Featherweight division, we have Robert the Hammer Whiteford against Paul Redmond. Now I think this is going to be a phenomenal fight. Big fan of Redser. Big fan of Robert Whiteford. I think both guys, they've been out. Robert Whiteford's been out for a long time. I think it was UFC 171 where he beat Daniel Pineda. That was his last fight. Hearing good things about his training camp over at ATT. Speaking to Brad Pickett a little bit, and he says he's come along really well. His striking's really improving. He's obviously got the judoka style, the judo throws. But he's against Paul Redmond here, who's against, he came in, this is his second fight in the UFC. He was against Mirsad Bektic in his UFC debut, which is if you've seen Mirsad Bektic's last fight, that guy is going to be a big fight in that division, and he did this coming down to a new division on about 3 weeks notice, and he got butchered pretty much by Mirsad Bektic on the ground, got taken down, but the kid never gave up. And this guy, when it goes to the ground, you cannot give anything away to Paul Redmond, because he will take it and he will make you submit. He's got phenomenal toe holds. His striking, I think, has always been improving. This is a close fight, very, very close fight. I think it'll go to decision. And I'm actually, as much as I'd like to put Robert Whiteford in this fight, I just got a good feeling for Paul Redmond. I'm actually going to pick Paul Redmond for the decision victory here. So yeah, going against my fellow countryman there, but I think it's the right choice. It's a close fight, toss up, and I think Paul Redmond's going to get it. Women's strawweight division, we have Joanne Calderwood against Rowdy Beck Rawlins, who I really cannot stand. Beck Rawlins, she beat Lisa Ellis last time out down in Australia. That is saying nothing, because Lisa Ellis is horrific. Ever since she became a mum, she's went soft basically. She shouldn't be fighting, in my opinion. But a nice submission victory down there for Beck Rawlins in Australia. Comes out, she's got so stand up, doesn't really do much. She throws some nice leg kicks. She has very minimal power. She just kind of comes forward. She's got no variety, to be honest with you. She just comes out, comes straight forward, throws a jab and a couple of hooks, but she has no power to really hurt you with, per se. Joanne Calderwood, very disappointing loss against Marina Moroz in Poland. There was obviously stuff that was going on before the fight, that something happened, and I've heard a few bits and pieces of what it was, and it's not great stuff. There was obviously the stuff with our coach James Doolan, who was a partner at the time, and I think they've went their separate way, but they are still coaching. They're still together as coach in Doolan's, and Calderwood as in the fighter he's representing. She just didn't look like she was walking to the cage, and you could tell there was something up, and she got dealt with pretty much by Marina Moroz and got submitted. I don't think that's going to be the case in this one here. I think that Joanne Calderwood is going to be really pumped here. She's fighting in her home city where she stays in. She's going to have all her friends and family there, which is obviously added pressure as well. But I see her coming out here and absolutely lighting up Beck Rawlins and stopping her as well. I hope she puts a beating. I'd like to see it Magana getting it this week. I hope Beck Rawlins gets it next week. So I'm going to go Joanne Calderwood via TKO in the third round. Rawlins, to be fair, is a very, very tough fighter to finish. But I'm going to go for Joanne Calderwood TKO third round. Co-main event, Ross Pearson against Evan Dunham. Dunham's coming off a win over Rodrigo Dam, where I really think he should have finished that fight. But I think he's a deteriorating fighter. Ross Pearson is another guy who, he's so up and down. Lost to Diego Sanchez when he beat Diego Sanchez. Beat Gray Maynard with a beautiful right hook. Knocked him out in Albuquerque, in Bangor, sorry. Lost to Ali Quinta down in Australia. Quinta's been on a run and he's ever improving. He's actually out of his fight in San Diego after Gilbert Melendez tested positive, which was a shock to me earlier on today when I found that out. So that match has been scratched, so I'm sure we'll see Quinta very, very soon again. And then he knocked out Sam Stout, whose chin is pretty much gone at this point. He can't really take a good shot. How I see this matchup going, it's going to be a good fight. Both guys are very, very aggressive. Dunham likes to come forward, likes to get bloodied up, and just likes to throw down. But I think Ross Pearson has the more power on this one, and is going to put him at. It's going to hurt him with them. I'm struggling to see a finish for Ross Pearson. I think he can do it, but I think he's going to hurt Dunham a lot in the fight. But Dunham's just a tough motherfucker, so I'm going to go Ross Pearson via decision. And in the main event of the night, Michael Bisping against Thales Leites. I think Michael Bisping should retire. His eye looks horrific. He has some decent performances. His last few fights, in all fairness, his win over Kung Lee was a beautiful destruction of Kung Lee, where his striking I thought looked phenomenal. He's always had great angles and great movement, and his output's phenomenal. He's always had great output. Hasn't got any power per se. but those strikes adding up through the fight are very concussive, like the Kung Lee one where he took him out. Against Luke Rockhold. Luke Rockhold's the number 1 guy in that division behind Chris Weidman. No shame in losing to him. And then he beat CB Dollaway. He used his it's just how savvy he was. He's just a savvy veteran, and he won that fight through that experience. He's against Leites here, who's come into the UFC and come back to the UFC, I should say, and he's knocked off 5 wins against fairly decent opponents. Tom Watson at UFC 163, Ed Herman at UFC 167, won them by decision. Knocked out Trevor Smith via TKO. Knocked out Francis Clarmont, which not many people do, and then he submitted Tim Boach in a performance of the night. I think he even got fight of the night as well for that, so he made himself 100 G's. The guy started to let his hands go a little bit, and that's opened up a lot of doors for Thales Leites. I think he can be very aggressive in this fight because Bisping hasn't got big power. He can come and take a couple of shots to get some of his shots off. I think if he can try and push Bisping against the cage. Now, Bisping's movement is very, very good, and he never stops either, so that's going to be interesting to see. I think Bisping's output might actually win him some rounds in this one. I think this is going to be a very close 5-round fight. If it goes to the ground, I think Thales Leites has got a great chance to submit him here. I've been going back and forward in this one, but I'm going to go... originally I went with Michael Bisping, but I think I'm going to change and go with Thales Leites via a very, very close decision. Oh, geez, that's a tough one. It could go Michael Bisping. I'm going to go Thales Leites via a close decision victory. So that's my picks for UFC Glasgow, which I'm over the moon for. I'm going to UFC 189 this weekend, and I'm very excited to go and support Conor McGregor and everybody else over there. Neil Seery, Cathal Penrith, Gunny Nelson. But UFC coming to my hometown, home country, is I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it now. It's going to be a phenomenal night. So everybody, check out that when it comes around. Come follow me on Twitter, WillMartin7MMA. Comment on the videos. If you can share the video, I'd very much appreciate that. I'm going to enjoy these next few weeks with the events I'm going to. I'll be back for UFC and Fox, Dillashaw versus Barrow. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it as always, and I appreciate the support as well. So take care, enjoy UFC 189, the tough finale, San Diego card, and Glasgow when it comes round. Take care. Thank you very much.